Hello, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Journey Across the Galaxy. Today's topic will be discussing whiny streamers, but before we get into that, we have to do our standard spiel for the new viewers. For those of you just joining us, we are continuing on our way out to Beagle Point. We've already crossed through the center of the galaxy from the bubble way back over here, and we are continuing in this direction towards Beagle Point off over here. This is our next waypoint. This is where we are right now. Let's go ahead and get off the ground, get the landing gear up, and start heading off towards our next. Oops! Up! I run on just a keyboard, and most of the time I don't do that. I don't know what just happened there. I had some kind of a mental lapse, or I don't even know. But anyways, the purpose of this journey is primarily to increase our exobiology rank, with a secondary goal of also making as much money as we can so that we can hopefully buy a fleet carrier and take up permanent residence out in the black. Now, unfortunately, we are on a planet, we're on the side of the planet that's opposite of where our destination is. So I need to start getting ourselves, we need to start getting ourselves up high enough so that we can get around the edge of the planet and start our jump towards the next system. That way we can start talking about what we do. Oh, come on, give me the thing. Come on, give it to me. We need to get line of sight to the next jump point. There we go. So that I can start talking about what it is that we're going to do when we get to the next area. So we have a standard cycle of things that we typically do when we hop into a place, into a new system. We pop the discovery scanner, then we'll do a fuel scoop, and then once we're out of the influence of the star, we'll hop into the full spectrum system scanner to see if there are any high value planets. We're looking for Earth-like worlds, water worlds, and ammonia worlds. And then if there are 15-ish bodies or less, depending on how I feel at the time, we'll do a full-on detailed scan of the entire system to see if there are any biological signatures. So here we are doing our discovery scanner and fuel scooping. We'll there's only 2 bodies in here. We won't be able to do a full spectrum scan. So, but that's going to be the sequence of events that we follow. Pretty easy to do. I continue to repeat and explain things as we go because I know a lot of you guys who are popping in are new and you have no idea what's going on. But as I said, today's topic of discussion, I do try to have a topic of discussion to go over while we're doing all of this so that it's not so boring and repetitive, just watch me playing the game. So as I said, today's topic of discussion is going to be whiny streamers. I watched a video yesterday that made me kind of laugh. Apparently, there are streamers in the world who are trying to make the claim that their streaming job is more stressful than people's day jobs. And I didn't even have to watch I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to create drama. I'm not even going to tell you where I watched the video. If you saw that video, you know what I'm talking about. That you guys keep that into you guys discuss that amongst yourselves. I don't want to create any drama. I'm trying to stay out of that stuff. However, before I even watched the video, I was like, are you serious? You guys get to sit in front of a computer all day playing video games or watching videos or whatever it is that you're doing, and oh my god, you have to talk. Only somebody who has never had a real job could ever sit in front of a large group of people and try to tell them that their job is more stressful than somebody who has to go to work every day just to make ends meet. Oh, I'm sorry. I try to be a fairly nice person on here, but that particular there are certain things that infuriate me in the world, and that's one of them. I'm a fairly entitled person, I'm not gonna lie. As an American and as somebody who grew up in a generation who was told that, you know, everything is gonna come, we're gonna be given everything and you can be anything you want and all of that stuff, I recognize that I am fairly entitled. I know deep down I believe I should have access to certain things that I don't necessarily deserve. That's a part of the American condition, and B, the millennial condition. I'm self-aware enough of it enough that I don't break down crying because I don't have it, but, you know, I'm butthurt that things have turned out the way that they've turned out, and I don't feel like they should have. Regardless of any of that, the level of entitlement that somebody has to A, have a successful stream, B, have it be something that they can do whenever they want, you know, they make their own schedule, and then C, to to get up in front of a group of people who pay your way through and try to tell them that the jobs that they do aren't as stressful as what you're doing is just staggering to me. It's staggering to me that somebody could seriously be so out of touch of how things are in the world that they would go to their own audience and try to tell them that you don't know what stress is. You don't know what stress is. Dude, you're making all kinds of money, and you're going to tell people who are barely making it paycheck to paycheck that they don't know what stress is, that their job is not stressful? Oh. I generally try to make this a positive... Well, no, let me not lie. I'm not going to say I generally try to make this a positive channel. I don't. I try to just talk about things that I think are interesting, and I complain about things when I think there's something to complain about, and I'm excited about things when I think there's something to be excited about. So, no, I don't necessarily focus on trying to be a positive channel. What's going on here? Why are you... What are we... Why are you... Okay. Must have been too close to the body and it was automatically adjusting it for me. I'm not sure what just happened there. I just, you know... Hold on, I'm trying to get a little bit more aligned with the rings here, because it's a little bit easier to get probes on when you're not having to fight the rings, because the probes will get in the way of that. So let me, all right, yeah, 7 probes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I think we'll be okay. 5. We'll sit here for a second to make sure. The rings can sometimes make it hard to get these done. And the problem I see, like, the biggest thing is just it's these really popular rich streamers who are getting on here and talking about how their job is stressful, and it's just, I'm like, you're seriously gonna get on here? You're I don't know. I wish I had their problem. I am hoping that, you know, sometime in the relatively near future, I have that kind of stress where it's like, oh, I'm hoping that I have that kind of a stress where I have a successful channel that's making lots of money, and the worst I have to deal with is I have to what? I mean, obviously there's a reason I don't stream, and it's because I don't really want to do that particular brand of thing. But if you choose to do that as your primary thing, you don't really have a right to complain about how hard your job is. You're self-employed, and you're successful at it. What are you whining about? What are you whining about that you're going to complain to your audience, no less? It's not even just that they were complaining. I can understand if maybe they got on Twitter and were, you know, saying, man, this streamer life is stressful, and, you know, I wish you guys with regular jobs are lucky, and blah, blah. They're on their own show talking to their own audience, which is vastly made up of the exact kind of jobs that these people are saying, oh, my job's harder than your job. No, dude. No, your job is not harder than the vast majority of the low-paying jobs that are out there. Talk to anybody in the military and try to ask them how stressful their job is. I mean, I was a Marine musician for 11 years, and even that job is extremely stressful. It's extremely stressful. I don't know. I tend to get emotional about certain things in a negative way. I tend to get very annoyed when I see things that just, you know, how are you? They talk about how you can't know anybody's life, and, you know, rich people have problems too, and it's like, yeah, but they don't have existential survival problems. I have too many things to keep track of problems. That's not the same thing. I'm sorry. Anybody who makes that kind of a comparison either has never experienced being poor, right, or are so lost in their own drama that they don't have any compassion or empathy or understanding for anybody else. I don't get it. If the worst I had to put up with is I had to stream for 8 hours a day, in the comfort of my home. I don't have to get dressed and commute to work, and I don't have to put up with coworkers and their BS and any of that stuff. I mean, at this point in my life, that would be a dream compared to every other job that I've ever had. Period. It just, I don't know. I'm not offended. I know it sounds like I'm offended. I'm just, it's more that I'm just like, how can you people be so successful, be so in tune with your audiences that you're able to get them to watch you, but then you come out and say some stupid crap like that? My job is more stressful than a day job. You guys don't know what stress is. Dude. Dude. You create your own stress by making it stressful. We have to live day to day stressing out about whether we're going to be able to pay our bills, pay off our debts, put food on the table. Little things like, inflation, things that are outside of our control. Ooh, biological. We may, I don't know. I don't really want to stop for that, but we're still early enough in the episode that I don't really want to stop for a single biology. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to sniff into the microphone, but I've been living in a building with no heating or air conditioning or even really insulation for the last year, and my sinuses are just destroyed. All right. Come on. System scan complete. I don't really want to stop at that one. Let's move on to the next system. Just the entitlement of people these days is like, I understand. I don't look at entitled people with necessarily this strong sense of negativity, because there's levels of entitlement, right? The further you are up the socioeconomic ladder, the higher up that ladder you're going to look. The higher up that ladder you're going to aim. If you're barely able to survive, you're looking for an apartment. That's like your dream of just having a stable house, having stable food, having clothing on your back. The goals of your life are going to be, relatively low compared to some other things that you could be doing. Once you get to the point where you have an Are we not fuel scooping? Oh, somehow we ended up on a star that has no fuel scooping available. That sucks. That's all right. We'll move on to the next one then. Once you get to the point where you have basic necessities, your goals move up the ladder. Now you're thinking, okay, well, let me see if I can find a job that's going to allow me to get maybe a house with a yard and a nice car and, maybe be able to eat out on occasion. And then if you're able to get to that point, you start thinking, oh man, maybe I can try to find a job that gives me a decent career and a lot of money, and maybe we can start taking some vacations. I would never say to anybody that because people have it worse than you, you shouldn't go after things that you want, and that you shouldn't want things that are more than what you have. We all, as a human species, have a desire to go after things. We have to have a goal. We have to have an objective. We have to have something that we're working towards that allows us to feel like we're progressing towards something. Was there nothing on this system? I thought it was either 1 or 20 something, and I couldn't remember which one it was. We all have something, and so obviously, wherever you are on the ladder is going to determine what your goals are. Now, some people are unrealistic; they're super poor and they want to be instantly rich, and that's that could happen, but it's highly unlikely. But so the point I'm trying to make is I would never tell a rich person that they should be ashamed of being rich, because somebody worked really, most of the time somebody worked really hard to acquire that wealth, and even if you inherited it, well, you got lucky and your family provided that for you. So I would never tell anybody who's rich to be ashamed of being rich, and nor would I tell them to ignore setting goals for themselves. So are we getting a lot? Oh, okay. Nor would I tell them to not set goals for themselves based off of the access to wealth that they have. I don't think that's unreasonable for them to want to do those things. Where I do start getting annoyed is when they start whining about the problems that they have to people who have it worse off than them. I think that's kind of what really bothers me about this entire situation. You have these incredibly successful streamers. I'm not talking about little people. I'm talking about you know, some of the top guys on the internet, and they're whining about how their job is not just whining about how their job is stressful, but they're trying to make it seem like their job is more stressful than, all right, their job is more stressful than what the average person has to go through. And it's just like, no, it's not more stressful. It's just a different kind of stress. We all have stress. Your stress is not more stressful than my stress. Okay, what do we have going on here? And, you know, my stress is not more stressful than somebody starving in Africa. They're going through, I mean, well, obviously they're going, if you're starving in Africa, if you're starving, then clearly you're definitely at the top of the stress list. Let's not bullshit. You know, there is some stress that's worse than others. But all right, I think we're going to have to go ahead and take one of these biological signatures that we saw, because unfortunately we're more than halfway through the episode at this point, and I'm not really coming across anything. Let's see, and all of this is relatively close, so at the very least we can get some bacteria or something. Okay, let's hop into the system map, find one of these ones that have bacteria on it. Let me make sure. Yep. Get out of the map, target it, get our super cruise assist turned on. And get ourselves turned around and on our way towards the thing. Like, obviously, let's not BS anybody. There is some stress that's worse than others. If survival stress is going to be at the very top. You know, talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You can't enjoy anything higher up the pyramid until you've satisfied the things that are lower on the pyramid. You can't truly get to those things. You have to satisfy the different levels first. But if you have food in your belly and a roof over your head and clothes to put on and, you know, preferably, you know, just enough money to make it, you've reached the point where everybody's stress is pretty much the same, and now you're just talking about different kinds of stress. And for somebody to get on there who is in a super privileged place to be able to sit in front of a computer all day, not having to break their back building buildings, or not having to wear themselves out serving customers, or not having to do any number of very stressful, irritating jobs that most people don't want to do, but they have to because it's the only thing they can find. For you to get on your platform and start saying some stupid crap like, my job is more stressful than yours, is just, that's a lack of gratitude. That's a lack of gratitude. I am not even a big content creator yet. I have 1,000 subscribers, and I am just grateful that you guys choose to watch me. The odds of any channel getting to the point where people actually choose to watch them and get to the point where you can actually monetize a channel, I looked it up. Channels with more than 1,000 subscribers is in the top 8% of all channels. Now, obviously, that I'm not going to BS you and say that has nothing to do with me. I've put in a lot of work, and B, I can present myself in a way that I think a lot of people somewhat enjoy watching. But, you know, people have to choose to watch you, and so a lot of that is just on the audience in general. There's a lot of luck and just circumstance that comes into getting yourself into a position where you have a channel, whether it's a streaming channel or a content creation channel or whatever it is that you're doing. Obviously, the content has to be good enough that people want to watch it, but at the same time, people also just have to choose to watch your stuff. So there's a lot of things to be grateful for if you're a content creator, regardless of your situation. You know, regardless of your situation. You know, I understand burnout. Totally understand that. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to express to your audience. Yeah, man, I'm getting a little bit burned down on this streaming thing, but I'm grateful to you guys that you continue to come back every day, and I'm going to try to do my best to make the best content I can make. You know, that's the kind of attitude that most people want to see. They don't want to hear you whining about your situation. Right? They don't want to hear you whining about your situation. And they certainly don't want to hear you whining in a way that minimizes their own situations. Because, like, I'm not this touchy-feely person who thinks that everybody's feelings should be validated. But, you know, because I don't believe in that crap. You got to tough it out and get through your shit. But at the same time, it's like, this is your audience that you're talking to. I'm not talking, like, this is your audience who are doing the same jobs that you're criticizing, or you're downplaying right now. Well, we don't want to go in the crater because bacteria is typically on the flatter parts. So I don't know. I mean, I know, yeah, I'm a little bit offended by the idea of these people talking about it, but it just, I saw the topic and I was just like, I can't not talk about this. This is, how out of touch can you be to actually be like that? I hope I hope I get as successful as these people, but I hope I never lose my memory of where I came from and how hard it was to just, you know, make ends meet without a freaking paycheck, or with a paycheck that just barely covered the bills. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna crash. Get our landing gear down. Oh, look, how convenient. Got ourselves right there on a bacterium. So we'll finish scanning this stuff. We'll go ahead and call it an episode after we're done with the third thing there. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand how somebody doesn't stop and think about things like that when they. I get that they are on all day. Maybe it just came out and they didn't consider it before they said it. But it was multiple streamers saying the same thing, and I'm just like, and you know, at least one of them has never worked a real day in their life. They came from a privileged place where they didn't have to work. They started a channel, and you know, they didn't have to go through the trials and tribulations of trying to pay rent and trying to, you know, trying to put food on the table and making sure you had enough money for this and making sure you had enough money for that. They've always had money to fall back on if things got bad for them. The rest of us don't have that. We have to do what we have to do. We don't get to choose to just screw around. I've been extremely lucky, and I'm grateful to my wife for the last year that I've been able to just sit and focus on this channel. You know, I didn't choose to not have a job. It just kind of worked out the way it's worked out. Let's just keep going. I didn't choose to have a job, but she's been extremely understanding. She's been working her ass off to make things work because of the situation that we chose to be in. And, you know, she's made it so that I could focus on my channel and grow it much faster than I could have if I wasn't able to, like, sit and really focus on it. So, you know, even that, I'm grateful that I've gotten as good as big as I've gotten, and I'm grateful that I'm, you know, hopefully moving towards a place where I can finally live one of my dreams of just playing video games for a living. I mean, who wouldn't love that? So these people who get on and they want to whine and complain about how they got it so hard, you know, everybody suffers. It's not a good idea to do comparative suffering. I'm not going to say that their job isn't hard and their job isn't stressful. But too many people up at the top want to try to play this game of comparative suffering, and it's like, you can't do that. Everybody suffers. It's just your suffering is your suffering and my suffering is my suffering. And the only objectively worse suffering is people who are struggling to survive. Once you're past basic survival, I don't want to hear any more about how you have it harder than me or whatever. That's not a thing. That's just not a thing. So anyways, enough of me rambling about entitled people saying ridiculous things to their own audience. That's whatever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Be sure to click that like button if you did, so that the YouTube algorithm knows and sends the video out to as many people as possible. If you are not subscribed, please consider doing so now, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your video feed and you will be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members do get early access to all of my content, so be sure to click that join button, check out the list of options that are available there, and decide if any of those are right for you. You can also press that thanks button if you just want to make a one-time donation and you don't have to join up for a membership. Any direct support is greatly appreciated and a critical component to helping me become a full-time independent content creator. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you guys are enjoying the journey, and I'll see you for the next one.